And we are live. Well, hello and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new around here. Today I have Hank Yellow. I'm sorry. I mean, I couldn't resist making a bad
No,
joke,
that's a
but
good one. I like it.
I didn't know quite what the name and color combination was going to be. I just thought it just come out naturally. But yes, no, I have Tom Orange joining, and I'm super glad to have you here. So thanks for being willing to hop on. But you're somebody who I've seen some of your videos and been watching more and more, but I've been curious to just chat more with. So thought this seemed like a good excuse to have you on with the show here. But if you want to give a little introduction or say anything on your end.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Tom. I do videos here on BookTube. I've been doing it, I guess almost 2.5 something years, I guess at this point. It's mostly sci-fi, fantasy, and then a mix of pretty much everything else. I mean, I do read or try to read kind of widely. So there was a nonfiction last month. A couple months before that, there's some, what you would consider literary fiction. So I kind of mix everything up. Comics, manga, all the stuff that people read. I kind of try to get into it a little bit, but sci-fi fantasy is the stronghold for sure.
Man, 2.5 years. So apparently I was just really behind the curve, but I actually, Janny Words recommended your channel to me.
Okay.
Fun fact, and specifically as she mentioned you, and I immediately went to check you out. And I'm like, oh yeah, and so that's how
Well,
I
thanks,
found. But it
Danny.
was a little bit late in the game. So yeah, she was doing good advertisement there. So,
Awesome. Yeah.
and we have Mr. Roro, who was our early person here.
Good to see you.
Joining in. Yeah, welcome to the party. But yeah, so it's you do read definitely a much wider range of stuff than I do. So I know we have some things in common, but yeah, like I can tell you the last time I read nonfiction, although I did technically read like Alton Brown's book, which is kind of like a memoir or a collection of essays. I don't know if that counts.
Counts as something.
I mostly stick to the sci-fi fantasy, and I don't even do like the comics or manga. I've tried. I just have never been able to get into the medium. But
Gotcha.
you do such a wide variety, which I imagine it's got to be nice, at least just so you never get tired of like the same thing.
Yeah, it is nice, and it's also a pain because there's so much. Like, imagine like all of a sudden now on top of the novels I want to read, now there's all these manga and comics and stuff on top of that also. And then it's funny you say that about not being able to get into that medium because it's actually something that I'm very streaky with. There are times where like all I want to do is read comics or manga, and it's like I'll like binge hundreds of chapters or whatever, or volumes, and then I'll go 6 months without touching any of it. So it's like this weird kind of balancing act. And I think maybe right now it helps. I'm kind of in one of those binge moods, but I think that's because I've been reading a bunch of like really good stuff right now in the comic world. So
I could see that for sure. But yeah, I mean, you hit though exactly why I don't stray out of my genre too much, because there's like a lifetime of fantasy stuff that I want to read. And I know I can't get to everything anyway, but the more I like occasionally trying different things, but the more I branch out, the more I'm like, oh God, but I have these 50 fantasy series
yeah.
I want to
Oh,
get
for
to.
sure. Yeah.
So it's tough, the life of a reader, you know.
It is. Well, and I'm sure
People
you
don't
fall
talk
into the
about it.
same trap that a lot of us do, where it's like I start 3 new series, 4 new series a year, and then like I think it might have been this year or late last year. I think I went through and like looked at all of the series that I either was like in the middle of or like, I was waiting on books, and it was like 30 something series that I was like had a finger in the pie, and it was just like, oh, how do I manage this?
I'm about to make it so much worse next year too, because we haven't announced it yet, but after I had Fina on, we've been strategizing about doing like a really big buddy read for next year, which is going to involve starting a lot of new series
Okay.
potentially. So I might have to try and like clean up my numbers, because mine are not good either. I haven't gone and actually looked in a while, but it's
Yeah.
always a little disheartening when you go and actually check how many series do I have
Yeah.
ongoing.
Yeah.
It's so high. But and there's so many really long series as well too. especially in fantasy, and so it can take a while. And I like you don't reread, I think.
I do
I
not.
remember
Yeah,
hearing,
yeah,
but
I do
I've
not
always really
reread.
liked it. So I try to allot at least some time to it, but I feel like not rereading at least clears up some time for sure.
It definitely helps. And there are definitely times where it probably has hurt some of my reading experiences and stuff. I really think like John's Gwyn new series that wrapped up. Was that this year, late last year,
Mm,
with
yeah.
Fury of the Gods. That one really felt like a series that if I had read it like back to back to back, I'm not that I was negative on the ending, but like I feel like as I was going through it, I was like vaguely remembering things that probably should have been a little bit more important. So it's definitely like that fine edge of like risking how much I can remember, which honestly having a channel helps. I feel like I take notes a little bit more now that I do that, or I can always go watch back videos or discussions and that kind of stuff. So it's like it kind of helps, but I'm envious of some of the rereaders.
It's I don't do it nearly as often as I used to. I stick with like one or two things a year.
Mm-hmm.
But like I did a trilogy reread this year, and then I'm in the middle of doing a 5-book series. I'm doing a reread, but I traded like I didn't used to do audio for the longest time.
Okay.
So series that I read physically, I'll do my reread via audio because that's a little bit easier to get through and
Oh
quicker.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And then I get to experience it in a different medium, which has been interesting too. So that's how I justify it to myself. But I used to reread Wheel of Time like every year, which was not conducive to getting a lot of other reading
No.
done. But
Yeah, that is what like I don't know if you watch Brian Bell, and I think maybe Mike from Mike's Book Reviews just did something kind of similar, talking about like, so Brian is in the same boat as me. He like does not reread stuff, but they just did videos pretty recently about like series or books that they would consider rereading. And I think I'm going to steal that video idea and do it because I don't. But like Wheel of Time would be probably is probably going to be number one on that list. And I'm lucky enough right now. Another channel that I'm friends with, they are reading Wheel of Time for the first time, and they invited me as kind of like the Sherpa to help them
yes,
go through it. So I'm kind of getting like the best of both worlds, even though I'm not rereading it. Like we just talked about book 4 recently, and it's like amazing to go back and like even just reading the Wikipedia, all the stuff that happens in book 4 of the Wheel of Time. It's like incredible, and to like
such a good book.
It is, yeah. So it's I'm kind of getting the best of both worlds there with Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time is such a rewarding series to reread too. Not to try and make you feel bad about not rereading, but that's the series that's why I love rereading, because I have reread that so many times.
I have heard that one is, and it makes sense, like having knowledge as you go through some stuff. I feel like having like a reread on that would be amazing.
Apparently my chat did somehow legitimately get disabled.
Oh no, not again.
Okay, it happened again. The chat has been disabled. It was not, and somehow it got disabled. So I'm so sorry, everybody. You can now chat.
Oh.
My wife just came in to tell me.
Well, thank you for letting us know. That's funny. We were just joking about that.
So literally right before, I'm like, as long as I don't end up with a disabled chat again. So I think the stream is a little bit cursed. I gotta apparently do something every time in order to do it. So no, I'll have to wait. I'm sure somebody will comment and confirm that it's working, but here we go. It's just, I was just say there's been plenty of people around. I'm told them I didn't want to talk to them apparently. So I don't know why. It seems whenever you go in and edit the description, it will automatically mark it as being for kids and disable the chat. And so that I just didn't think that happened this time because yeah, okay, there we go. Definitely working now. So
awesome.
Hopefully that's the hiccup. That's every live I'm on, I feel like, especially the ones I host, there has to be at least one problem. So that's a pretty minor one. So that's pretty good.
No,
I do have a history of like disappearing for a while and having the guest take over, because one time my internet went out during a storm, or like one time the camera stopped. There's been all kinds of weird stuff.
Nice.
But anyway, so the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's what you said though about being like the Sherpa though. That has been one of my absolute favorite things about getting involved in BookTube and seeing people read series. that I love, because like it's really great right now. There's a couple of people in my Discord that are reading Thomas Covenant for the first time, and that's a series too that I've talked to so few people who have like read it, but so I was so tempted to do a reread with them, but I don't have time. But I'm just like living vicariously through them.
Yeah.
And I've gotten invited to like do lives with people who are reading the first time and the person who's read before, and it's so nice because you get to experience that for the first time without actually having to fit the reread in.
Yeah, exactly. With Wheel of Time, I've even thought about like listening to it as I like fall asleep and just kind of letting it go and just randomly picking it up, because I mean, I would, if I was going to like commit to a reread, I would actually want to reread it, but I could like kind of get bits and pieces of it if I like sporadically listen to it as I fall asleep and just kind of pick it up in random chunks and stuff here. But I don't know. That's my favorite fantasy series. So part of me is like, I don't know if I want to do it that way. I'd rather just kind of commit to it. But
yeah, well, it's Heidi is mentioning, she convinced us, because it's not a hard sell. A bunch of us to potentially start another Wheel of Time reread in January.
oh goodness.
Which I kind of forgot about, but I'm always down for it. So it's been a couple of years. That's how I trained myself to do audio. I'd listen to the whole series because I'm like, I've read this a dozen times by this point. If I like zone out, it won't matter because I know what happens anyway.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so that was how I got used to audio.
I like how you said that, because I'm like 99% of the time an audiobook person, and people will ask me, how did I get used to it, all this kind of stuff. And I luckily for myself, I just had a background in listening to podcasts. Like I listened to podcasts, mostly sports podcasts. And I did that for so long before I ever picked up an audiobook. I had like trained myself to pay attention to what like the noise in my ears are. And so I think it was kind of like a cheat code for me when I finally dove into audiobooks.
Yeah, my brother-in-law had never really been a reader and had never even like thought about audiobooks, but did podcasts all the time. And so I finally got him to Dungeon Crawler Carl, naturally. I got him to try, and I think I got him really into it, and also I think ruined audiobooks forever for him, because when that's your first ever audiobook, it sets the bar so high.
Yeah.
But he was kind of the same way. He just didn't think it would work that well, but he was so used to doing his podcast that it actually went really well. So
Yeah. It's funny enough. That's one of the books I still haven't done, that series. I'm one of the it feels like one of the last holdouts, I'm almost wearing it with like a badge of honor at this point. I have not read Dungeon Crawler Carl yet.
It's just one I recommend everybody at least try, because not everyone will enjoy it. I have seen there are a few people, and it's at the point where in some ways it's talked about in such these huge heights that it's going to be hard to live up to in some ways, but I expected to not like it at all. And Andrew convinced me to try it eventually. Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and so I ended up trying it, and then I just ended up loving it. And I don't like lit RPG. I've tried others. I can't really get into it, and that's like the exception. But it's you're probably either going to bounce really quickly or you're going to fall in love. It seems to be mostly those are the two.
Yeah. It's not, and I'm not like holding out as like a contrarian or anything like that. It's just when I started to hear about it, I was like, well, I already have a bunch of stuff on my plate. I'll add it to the list and get to it at some point. And now it's so popular. I'm like, well, I'll still get to it at some point, but there's enough people talking about it. I don't, I'm not in any rush.
Fair.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. So Sun Animander said they just saw your video about Demon Copperhead and put it in the stack.
That is that's one of those books where I'm like, if I can get people to read that one, I'll be glad. And it's, it's definitely outside of the sci-fi fantasy space. It's, literary fiction, but it is definitely one of the best books that I've ever read. So.
Well, now I'm going to have to, I don't think I saw this particular video, but I'm going to have to add this to my list here as well. I haven't done a ton of literary fiction. I've done of late somewhat some literary fantasy.
Okay.
But I haven't done a ton of literary fiction, but something I'm open to.
A lot of that is how I got back into reading, because I think like a lot of people when I was in college, I didn't really read a whole lot. And then when I got out, I was like, oh, I have I felt like I had time to read when I first graduated college, and I just was like going around like Googling 100 books everyone should read, best books of all time, and you get a lot of those like honestly like classic / literary fiction books, and that's how I ended up kind of getting back into reading. So that's kind of was the base of it before. I mean, I always knew I liked fantasy and sci-fi even as a kid, but I was like, what should I read? And that's kind of what got me back into it.
we have a different take.
Oh, it is an extremely depressing book. Demon Copperhead is legitimately one of the saddest and like most depressing books I think you could read, but I think that's what makes it so beautiful and like worthwhile, because
Okay.
it really is just so like the basic premise is it's dealing with the opioid crisis in Royal Appalachia, and like that's not like a fun happy like time, but it's one of those books that like especially if you have like in your life known people who are affected by it, been affected by it, by people close to you, anything like that, I think so much of it rings so true. Even things that seem like there are things in that book that happen that feel so outlandish that I could see people saying this is trying to be cruel and depressing for being cruel and depressing sake, when in reality it is just the cruel real things that happen to people. And so I think it's just one of those ones that it ends up, I mean, it is super depressing. It's super sad. Like it's not like, do not go into that if you are wanting to have like a good time in like a traditional sense, but it is absolutely one of my favorite books I've ever read. So I don't disagree that it's
I'll
very
definitely keep
depressing.
that in mind.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely like the big warning across it is not fun, but good.
yeah, that's fair. It's important to have the right expectations for books for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Heidi, I know, was not a fan of Fury of the Gods, so she might her thoughts you might just not like it anyway. But
Oh yeah, the Fury of the Gods definitely was not the triumphant end to that trilogy that I was hoping for, but
I still have not gotten to it, and I'm probably going to be at the point, kind of like you said, where I don't know if I'm going to remember the first two books, but I read the first two books pre-release because I
okay,
did e-arcs for both of them,
okay, nice.
and I just didn't have time for the last one. I pre-ordered the book, I got it like right around release day, and still have not gotten to it.
Yeah.
And so I just, yeah, it's on my list, but there's a few books like that where they came out at just the wrong time for me. And now they're in that like just perpetual limbo of I never seem to get to. And so
Yeah.
there's a few like that.
Oh yeah, I totally understand that.
Oh, we got Ryan here.
Did not like the
I feel
Shadow. Okay.
I feel like a lot of the people who really liked Faithful and the Fallen did not like how different Shadow of the Gods was. Although I did make fun of and still do occasionally like all like the thought cage and stuff like that. I know some people had problems with that, which I think is fair. It had some weird, like legitimate reasons to have them, but it had some weird things. And it was like the null binding. I think that was there like every paragraph. There was something about your null binding cap and your thought
Oh, there
cage.
were definitely some. It's funny. I had kind of forgotten about that until you said it, and now a bunch of those like phrases that there were, there were definitely. I've noticed. It's funny you say that. I've also noticed some in Sun Eater because that's what I'm currently reading.
Hmm.
Rockio definitely has an affinity for people looking down at their toes. I'm sorry if I just ruined Sun Eater for somebody, but like it's
You're pretty
all the
safe
time.
with me. I
Okay.
quit after book 2 anyway.
Okay.
So
So yeah, yeah.
yeah, it just unfortunately was not working as well for me. But I do feel like you get that sometimes with you notice something and it's so hard to get past.
Mm-hmm.
Uh but it does like I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't bother me and sometimes it does. Because there is a book. Uh and I don't know if you ever heard of Illborn by
Yes, I have heard of it.
Daniel T. Jackson, I think.
Yes.
Um, it was a very popular book.
Mm-hmm.
We did on our Discord years ago a buddy read that went very poorly. It wasn't our worst one ever, but most of us did not enjoy it, despite it being very popular. The series is very popular.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get over it. Used okay constantly, and not even like OKAY, the capital OK, which comes from
Oh,
like 1900s America, constantly. It's just people are
interesting.
always saying like okay. and it drove me nuts. But probably the biggest one is actually John Gwynne, but in Faithful and the Fallen is people say so much. And so I've had a few people make fun of me because I liked those books a lot, but I complained very heartily about
Oh
overuse of
yeah,
that word.
yeah. That's I mean it. Like if you think about like Wheel of Time gets made fun of for the same thing, and I love it.
Oh,
So it's
very justifiably.
yes, absolutely. So I totally get it. Yeah.
Oh, I missed a comment. Empire of Pain by Patrick Radden Keefe. That is also, it sounds like related to the opioid crisis. So,
Oh, interesting. Is that a nonfiction that looks into the Shackler family? Yeah, I think that might be a nonfiction about like a big pharma family or something. I feel like I've heard about that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confusing it with something else.
that would sound like that's the case here. Oh, and we got already overbooked here. Ryan, known for hot takes, but agrees on the Rockio part. Oh, we have book buds here. Hey, book buds. But yeah, I've said many times with Wheel of Time though that nobody complains about Wheel of Time quite so much as the biggest fans of the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Because it's done with love, but like nobody can rant about the Wheel of Time like somebody who's a mega fan of the Wheel
Oh,
of Time.
I completely agree. It's so funny. It's one of those. I'm sure you have other series, but like that's one of those series where I feel like if somebody heard me talking about it long enough, they'd be like, "This dude hates Wheel of Time," and then I turn around and I'm like, I love this so much because it's one of I think it's one of those series that because it's so long and so much happens in it and you have so many characters, it's really easy to pick out things you don't like and really kind of like dive into them and have a plethora of examples, but then still love so much of it because there is just so much in it.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you're gonna any long series like that, there's gonna be some things that work better than others or don't work and everything. So it's gonna happen. But it's like I even joke. I did many years ago. I did a kind of joke skit video, how different authors would write changing a light bulb, and like I like made a joke. Basically, it was just like it kept like skipping forward in time, and I was still just doing descriptions of the area around the light bulb. Was my one for Jordan, and it was a fun time.
That's a good one for sure. That is good, yeah.
Oh man, so I suppose 20-ish minutes in, I should ask, what are you reading now?
So right now, on the novel front, I'm trying to get through Howling Dark. My goal is to try to be caught up or as close to caught up as I can be for the release of the final book. So I've got that. And then on the comic front, also, I guess I am reading one of Janny's short stories. I think it's The Child of Prophecy. It's one of the Wars of Light and Shadow short stories, which is, I mean, it's super short. I should be done with it already, but it's one of those ones that I'm just very slowly picking through a couple pages at a time, which is always great. I wanted to get further into that series this year and have just completely dropped the ball on that. And then on the comic front, I am making my way through the first compendium of the Invincible comics, which is also a show on Amazon Prime that is really popular. But I wanted to go and read the comics that it's based off of.
Gotcha. I should say, I don't think I know that one.
I have it laying on the floor. I was reading it before I got on. It's this.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know if this will ring a bell for you, but
yeah, I'm super unfamiliar with
yeah
genre, so that's probably just a me thing.
Yeah,
but
it's it kind of have you heard of The Boys?
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to say it's similar to The Boys, but it is more in the like the boys lane than like a traditional superhero comic would be.
Okay.
It's definitely not as over the top as like The Boys is really like a satire of superheroes. Invincible is just like a little bit more, I don't even want to call it gritty because I feel like that gives the wrong idea, but like there are consequences for superheroes being in this world a little bit more than you would probably get in a lot of like traditional stuff, right?
Gotcha.
So,
yeah. I still haven't watched The Boys, but that one I at least know what it is.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I've heard it's good. I'm very slow to get to TV most of the time anymore.
I am
But
too at this point. It's one of those, I think when you know, have a job and a family and you still want to read, it's like you got to cut out TV and like something's got to go. You can't do
yeah,
like I can't do it all. I'm sure there's somebody out there with better time management skills than me, but I could not.
yeah, that's where it's like reading is for the most part my only like big hobby, just because it it takes up so much time. It's hard to do other stuff,
Mhm.
and like there are a few other things I'll do here and there, but it's just like I don't really play video games a whole lot either or anything like that, and most of it's just because I can sit down and do that for a couple of hours, or I can read a nice chunk of a book, and usually it's
Exactly.
if I have the time I tend to go toward the reading, for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm
Looking
with you.
at Book Lounge here. I did not. In fact, I actually completely forgot about that, Heidi. She was recommending there's like there are these little animated backstory
They're
things
good
around the Wheel of
actually.
Time show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I have
I
to
watched
go
them. I
take a
don't
look.
know. I don't know if they did more for the next couple of seasons or if they just did a couple after the first one, but they were good. They were pretty cool.
I am willing to give them a shot. I did not get through the first season of the show.
No, the animations are definitely worth it, and most of them are like I don't even know if they're 5 minutes. So
Oh,
like
gotcha.
they're not like at least the ones I watched, and unless they're talking about something else, they're like super short.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Book Lounge, almost done. Empire of Silence.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm about. I'm not very far into Howling Dark, but
I gotcha.
I have
They,
not read the ways the way lies Camelot yet. It is definitely something I want to, but I have not gotten to that from Janny yet.
that one is probably not like a big priority one, I'll say.
Mhm.
It's a mix of stuff. The title story, which is the last one, and is absolutely not what I would have expected, is really, really good. And
Okay.
like none of them are bad, but it's like it's a mix. Like there's some Elf Quest stuff in there, and then there's a series of ones that she did for like these other sci-fi anthologies.
Oh,
And
okay.
so like it's a super mixed bag of stuff. It's interesting, but it's not one that's like, oh, you have to get to this immediately or anything. Although it's a good time. So I have not read any of her stuff that I've not enjoyed.
Yeah,
So,
that's how I think you have read a little bit more than well, I know you've read all of Wars and Light and Shadow, so you've definitely read more than I have. But I think what's book 5 after Fugitive Prince is the next one I need to pick up in the main series. Grand
uh,
Conspiracy?
yeah,
Or
Grand Conspiracy.
okay.
I had to look behind me.
I was gonna say mine
Drawing
are
a blank.
blocked by my chair back there. Yeah, so that's the next one in the main series I need to get to. My original plan was so that's the Alliance of Light arc, I think. Is that Fugitive Prince for like the next 5 books? My original plan this year was to finish that whole arc. And that's not happening this year, unfortunately. But I do definitely want to get back to more of her stuff. I mean, I did just read Sorcerer's Legacy, so I'm
Yeah, I
still
remember
yeah.
seeing that one. That's what I remember. I'm like, you just read one lately, but yeah, because your comments with that one, that was definitely not what I was expecting either. Her stuff is
No,
all pretty different, and she never does the same ending twice either. So you don't know. But
yeah.
and I think you read the Master of White Storm, didn't you?
Yes, I have also read that one.
Okay.
Yeah, which I really
Uh,
enjoyed.
that one is my least favorite out of her
Okay.
stuff. It was still like a 4-star read for me, but
It's
it's a high bar for Janie.
right.
So
That's what I even said that when I talked about Sorcerer's Legacy, because that one is probably my least favorite of it, and it's like my least favorite Janny book is still like an absolute like banger of a book. It's
and
one of
that's
those.
her debut too.
I know it's crazy. It is crazy to think that that's like the first thing because it's she's just one of those authors for me that it's been like it's hard to say anything negative about her because I don't want anybody's idea to be like skewed when I say something negative because the bar is just so high that
Yeah.
like it's definitely not balanced compared to a lot of things.
Oh, 100%. But yeah, I read all of her solo stuff. I still need to read the Empire trilogy
Okay.
with Raymond Feist,
Mhm.
which I've meant to get to for ages because I read the first 3 or 4 books, however you want to call it, in Rift War. But yeah, I still I want to get to those, but I wanted to do all of her stuff first, and it was a good time. But that's where I
That's
have
how I feel
most of it
actually.
all up on that shelf behind me,
Yeah.
mostly. So, but yeah, as I feel like it Wars of Light and Shadow is a difficult series to like prioritize and get through if you're reading other stuff. I legitimately, after Peril's Gate, I was reading on my own, then I joined a buddy read group, and then I went rogue and just binged the whole thing after Peril's Gate
Okay.
because I'm like, I kept feeling like I had to rush to get through them to meet like the time frame for the discussions.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I just want to read them and enjoy them. So I just did the rest. And granted, I know not everybody's going to do that for sure, but it was a good time. So
Yeah, I mean, especially when I read physically, I'm already a pretty slow reader, and then I feel like when I read anything from her, I slow down even a little bit more.
mhm.
And so they definitely take me longer to do, but it's definitely an experience that I feel like I'm kind of steeped in, and so I don't mind that it takes me a longer time. So the reason I haven't started the next book yet is because I was physically reading other stuff, and I don't like to physically read something at the like two books at the same time. I'll do an audio and a physical read at the same time, but for some reason, like I can't do two audio or two, like I can't mix like that. So I had a bunch of like standalone stuff or the first book in a series with no sequel out yet to get through first, and then I was like, ooh, I could read some of these short stories now and then jump into Grand Conspiracy.
Yeah, I used to read multiple books a lot, and then I kind of stopped doing it. And then when I started doing multiple formats, I would do like one in each format sometimes.
Okay.
Right now, I am splitting time between way too many books because I have too many buddy reads. So I'm like reading a couple of chapters of one book one day at the other, and so it's
Yeah.
been a long time since I've been like flipping between. Uh, Most of it's physical actually, just because one doesn't have audio. I don't like the audio for the other one, and one of the others I just don't prefer to do audio for. So it's been
Okay.
mostly that, but mixing it up. So I have like 4 or 5 books going right now, which is way more than normal.
Oh, that's a
But
lot. Yeah, that is a
it's been
lot.
interesting.
Yeah, that's a lot. I don't know the last time I've had that many going. So are you somebody who sits and like binges your reading, or do you kind of like sprinkle it out throughout the day? Like you'll pick it up at lunch and then again later and just get as much as you can in.
So I'm typically during the day it's mostly audio because I will like listen on my drive to work. And as I'm like walking in, I have my headphones in. And then on lunch, I will either like read something on my Kindle, and or like just keep listening to an audio. And then I like for the second half of my lunch, I just walk around a bunch. And so then I'll listen to audio there. And then like on my way home. And so a lot of my like daytime reading is mostly audio, and then at night typically I'll read either like a physical book, or I've always been a big reading in bed person, which the Kindle was so nice for.
That's so
But
great.
since having a kid, if I get in bed and try to read, I just fall asleep. So I can't do that as nearly as much anymore
Yeah.
because it's just too tired. But
Okay.
that's kind of my normal thing. I know you said you do a lot of audio because you like to walk.
Yes, that is like that's my cheat code is walking and listening is what I try to do. And I do like if I my preferred way to do it is if I can do that for an hour straight or longer. I really enjoy that. If I have to like break it up into like 10, 15-minute little like sprints, I don't like to do that as much, but I will. But if I can definitely like sit and just like be immersed in it for
Mm,
a little while,
that's
I
fair.
do enjoy that. But I obviously don't always get the chance to do that. And I feel you on the in bed thing because I also do really like to physically read in bed. And then with the Kindle, I can turn the lamp out, and then next thing I know, I'm hitting myself in the face with the Kindle, which is much better than a full hardcover at this point.
This
But
is fair.
it does happen.
Yeah, I that's where it's hardcovers. If they're big enough, you can kind of have open and like lay on your side and do, but you can't do that with all books. So
Yep.
that's where it's the Kindle absolutely was like revolutionary for my in bed reading. So it was it was a good time. Let me jump through. Oh, Anomander got a copy of that as well. Apparently, there was a new one about Land's backstory in Machir.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll have to try to find that.
Oh, that's still, I think, talking about Camelot. So you can see behind me the full set. Now, some of them are slightly different sizes, and this is a paperback. There is no hardcover for this book that exists, but there is the big paperback if you track it down. So it's pretty close, and it looks
good
pretty
on the
decent
shelf.
on the shelves.
I was gonna say it looks good on the shelf. I didn't realize there wasn't a hardcover for that one.
Yeah, that one was in sort of the weird time because the book right before that is through a different publisher that was kind of like a small indie publisher that went under. So that's where it was kind of weird. That's that book, Trader's Knot and To Ride Hell's Chasm both came out through there.
Okay.
And then there was something with like the deal with getting back on the publisher, and they never ended up doing a hardcover. So that's the only one that doesn't have one. But eventually we'll hopefully get like a nice special edition set that I will spend all of my money on.
Yeah, I would.
Because
yeah, I would love that. Or honestly, I would honestly take audiobooks. I know the first one and maybe the last two have audiobooks. But yeah, a full set would be nice. Some kind of special edition. Hopefully, the BookTube promotion of it helps it just kind of keep slowly building over time and growing.
And that'll help with getting audio as well too. So I mean, it's. I know she's been pushing forward as well, but the publishers, they're going to want to see sales and enough attention with it. But audio does just open it up for so many people as well. And then Colin Mace did a really good job with it too. So I did audio for the second to last book.
Okay.
Mostly just because I wanted to try it out.
Yeah.
And then I've listened to bits of Curse of the Mist Wraith as a reread whenever I just wanted to jump in and didn't know what to do and just have a little bit of Janny. I've done that several times.
Yeah, I have that audiobook. I bought it actually after I had already read the book because it came out after I read it just to support, but I have actually never gone and listened to it.
It's pretty good. I see. And I bought Song of the Mysteries too. I pre-ordered it even though because I was one of like the very lucky few who got to read an arc of that, which still just kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so I did like that was like an old school doing almost nothing but reading for like a week, which I hadn't done in so long. But like I ended up taking a day off of work just so that I could read. And I was talking to a couple of coworkers, and they're like, "You need that long to read a book?" And so then I show them like the actual book because that thing is huge.
Yes.
And they're like, "Okay, I understand now."
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh goodness, but reading too many books. Yeah, at least it's not just me reading too many books at a time. That is fair. I vary. Sometimes I really like to be focused on one, and sometimes I like to split between. I do feel like doing different formats really helps keep it separate too. If I'm doing like a physical, an audio, and an ebook, my brain really does segment that way.
Mine does too. They feel so different in my brain.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said earlier too, I like doing a series I've already read, doing like my reread with audio, because then it's like now a different way to experience it. So, for sure. I would read one book, but I'd want to be reading the other book.
That's very fair.
That's a sign you're reading good books, at least, though. So, Musashi and 1Q840. I have not actually read either one of those books.
Musashi has been on my list for a really, really long time. I did read Vagabond, which was like the manga version of Musashi, I think. I don't know how, like, I think it maybe follows the same like historical character, but I don't know if it's like actually following the novel or what. But that one that is a massive book. I think the audio might be like close to 50 hours for that one or something.
Oh dang.
Yeah. It's a big one.
I know that's been recommended to me a few times lately, so I'll check it out. But yeah, I didn't realize it was quite that long. Well,
No, I
there's a good
haven't.
question. Do you do a lot of like new releases or pay attention? Because I
This
find
year,
myself rarely doing it.
okay, this year is probably the best I have been about it in a really long time. And it's something I kind of wanted to be a little bit more on top of than I had been in the past. So I will say yes. Even when I didn't, I would like put a list together of things that I was looking forward to just so I wouldn't forget about them. But it actually has been kind of a nice change of pace of like being caught up and a part of stuff when it comes out. Like I did Buffalo Hunter Hunter, which was a standalone, which made it easy. I'll be caught up for the Empire of the Vampire stuff. Hopefully the Sun Eater stuff. There was one or two other ones that came out like earlier this year that I was caught up with. That was nice. While Darkness Gathers that just came out from Philip. Yeah. So,
I really need to go back and finish Edan.
oh yeah,
It's been so long.
yeah.
I haven't actually showed it. I just bought book 2. Um,
Okay.
I read book 1 around when it came out. It's been a
Mhm.
long time. I
Yeah.
need to get back.
Yeah. Yeah, I was caught. I think I was a day one reader for the first two, and then was a little behind on the third one, but I still finished it, pretty closely after it came out. And then as soon as While Darkness Gathers came out, I started reading it. It took me a little while to read it because I was just physically reading it and went to the beach and on vacation and stuff. So it like took me a little bit longer, but they are very good. I don't know how you felt about the first one, but I think the next two in that trilogy are like a massive step up in my opinion.
Okay. That's yeah. The first one I did enjoy, but I wasn't like crazy about.
I was
But
the
it's
same.
probably one of the reasons why it's taken me forever. But I have every intention of continuing. I just I haven't gotten to it, so I always feel
Yeah.
guilty about that one.
Yeah, I read the first one and I was like, well, this was good, but I don't know. It just maybe high expectations or something.
Hmm.
And then the second and third one, especially like the third one is really phenomenal. Uh, like that's when I really got more hooked. And like after the second one, it's like, okay, like this is very good. And then the third one, I was just kind of blown away by.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we had really similar reactions to the first one. So this bodes really well for me, I feel like,
Yeah.
as far as the next two. So it's definitely a need to prioritize with it. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's always so many things. And that's one of those ones too. I've had every intention of getting to, and there's a bunch of series like that, but um, I don't do a ton of new releases most of the time. Like I'll look at NetGalley occasionally on like eArcs and everything if there's something, but this year has been more than usual because there was a new Kate Elliott book, and I love Kate Elliott.
Okay.
I don't think you've read Kate Elliott that I recall.
No, she's on my list though. I have a couple of her books on my list to get to.
Ooh,
Yeah.
which ones?
Oh, I'd have to look. There's one with this like really cool cover that I saw somebody talk about, and I was like, ooh, I want to read that. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
Kate Elliott's one of my like original screaming at everybody about
Okay.
to read
Hey, that's not a
people.
bad thing.
Yeah.
I can,
My favorite is her Crown of Stars series, which is it's almost like historical fantasy actually, because it's an analog of Europe in kind of that medieval period.
okay.
Uh, but it's really really good. But she has a really wide variety of stuff too, and her new book, Witch Roads, was really really good as well.
Is it King's Dragon?
Oh, that is
Is that
uh,
the?
I, this guy.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
Oh, that's Crown of Stars. So that's what I
Okay.
was just
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. That's the one that like put her on my radar, for sure. So
That is a top 10 all-time series for me. So
okay.
definitely hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
It is like criminally not talked about because it's one of those things that like, yeah, some people read it in the 90s as it was coming out, but then it just doesn't get talked about much. But
Hmm.
I've gotten a few people to read the whole thing who've enjoyed it, but it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
It's probably one of those ones that I'll wait for until I either finish like a Wars of Light and Shadow or a Malazan or one of the big ones that I'm like need to put a little bit of work in to finish first before I'd like another one.
you can only have so many long series. I absolutely understand. So
Yeah.
it's at least 7, so it's not 10
Okay.
like the other ones.
I mean, that does
7's
help.
still pretty long.
It is, but yeah, I mean, 3 less books definitely does make a difference. So
Yeah. It did all get audio just within the last couple of years, actually, too. So
yeah.
I'm still hoping that happens with Janny, but Kate Elliott, she got like almost her whole catalog got audio within the last few years.
Okay.
Because almost none of it had audio to begin with. So
Okay.
that
Yeah, I
was
would.
that's pretty cool.
Janny's series is one of those ones where I'm like, man, if there was audio, I would have already have been done with this series because I do enjoy it so much. But it just takes me a long time to get through them. And I know that if I, and some of that is just me not always making the time to physically read. I'm really good about making time to audio, but
Yeah.
with the physical reading, I'm worse at making time for. So you add those variables all up and you get me taking what it took me 273 days to finish Ships of Marior, which is like an incredibly slow pace, but I enjoyed it. So
Hey, that's what really counts.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I feel like if I didn't do audio, I would get so much less reading done because it is so much easier to find time to do that versus I don't often have as much time to just sit and read. And I feel like it's made me appreciate the time that I do have to sit and read a little bit more even because I do really enjoy audio, but like I'm doing a Guy Gabriel K book right now. It's one of my way too many books. I also happen to have one of the other new releases I read this year, but and his books tend to have really really good audio, but I also just kind of like sitting and physically reading his books, so I'm always torn because like audio is really good, but then I'm like but I also just really like reading it like physically. So I have a tough time sometimes picking which one that I want to do, but I've done a little bit of both where I've done some on audio and then I've just sat and read some and it's very rewarding either way. So that's been nice.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently I've missed that Janny's announcing something soon. I really don't use social media.
No, I don't know if you have seen his channel. It's Zachary Shea. He's a big Janny fan, and he did an interview with her pretty recently, and I think she alluded to she's working on some kind of story that maybe she's going to have news on soon. And then I think there's also some kind of anthology coming out soon on like Kickstarter or one of those one of those sites that
Okay.
it's got a bunch of people in it. Like I think like it's got Janny, Sanderson, Erickson, like a bunch, Hobb. I think like it's got like some real heavy hitters in it. So I don't know. Maybe they're talking about that as well.
Oh, gotcha. Could be. So
yeah,
I see Heidi theorized maybe the bind up of the short stories, which I know that's something she wants to do eventually. Oh, and yeah, and Zach, you're mentioning because she does have a new book. I didn't realize she had turned that in. I haven't talked to her in a little bit. So apparently I just message Janny and be like, hey, tell me all of the things.
yeah. What's going on?
Also agrees on Buffalo Hunter. Is that the Stephen Graham Jones one?
Yes, that is the Stephen Graham Jones ones. Yeah. Extraordinary is not the word I would use. I know some people like really, really liked it. I thought it was good, but I think it like was one layer of the onion too deep for it to be like extraordinary for me. Because it's like set in modern day, but then we're reading a journal that is telling the story that's going on. And it's like, I don't think I needed that modern day veneer over it personally. Because in the last part of the book, some really strange stuff happens in the modern day setting that I think really like ruined some of the book for me. And I'm not normally someone who gets like super stuck on endings. But that one, I was just kind of like scratching my head a little bit.
Fair enough. I tried The Only Good Indians by him, and I could not get into it. It just was one of those things where like stylistically, it just was not hitting my brain right. And so I have not tried any of his other stuff to this point. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I did his weird mannequin one,
That's the
which
only other
also
one I've done.
also wasn't for me, but it was so incredibly different from the one I had tried before. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, that
that was
one, the
odd.
mannequin one, I did that one and was just like, I did not enjoy that one. I will also say with Buffalo Hunter Hunter, I think I saw a lot of people who physically read it had more issues with it because you had all those layers. I think people were getting lost of like who was talking and stuff at certain points. And I will say on audio, because there's different voice actors, that was not an issue. So
Interesting. Yeah. I haven't done a ton of the like different voice actors for cast things for the most part, but I feel like have you done any of like the graphic audio or like the really big production ones?
yeah, so I did graphic audio for White Sands. But and then some of Audible's original stuff that they do, it's always super like dramatized and stuff. And I'll like, honestly, it's not my favorite way. Like I like the little bit more of a pure form of the audio. So yeah, and I will say with Buffalo Hunter Hunter, it was definitely more of a, okay, this is the narrator for this thing, this is the other one. It was still very much
Just
like
the
a straightforward, but you just kind of had, because you had different perspectives, it really did help. I think, yeah.
I'm kind of similar. The really like big production ones with the music and the sound effects, I just have not been super into, but the ones where you just have multiple narrators, I think can work out well. Where like this POV is this narrator, this POV is there. So
Yeah, absolutely.
as long as they're good, so it can help for sure. So I see now the chat is abled and I'm just ignoring it, which happens sometimes too on lives, which is okay.
That's good
But
to know about Goodreads though.
I'll do a quick through and see what we got here too. Kate Elliott, definitely underrated. We won't talk about Wind and Truth. I don't know the other two though. I've heard of Needy Okafor, that author, but I have not heard of either of those books.
I've read one of their books actually.
Yes, go for Kate Elliott. Yeah, that's that he's reading The Haunt on the Island of Esmer, which is a book that has like, I'm one of like 2 or 3 reviews on the book.
Oh wow.
It was sent to me and it was one of my like biggest surprises of last year. I loved that book and I wasn't expecting to love it, and it's another one I've been trying to get people to read. I've tried to convince, I think he's going to. I tried to convince the author to do a new cover because the cover's kind of weird, and I think this doesn't work for the book, and so it's probably not like the drop. It's so good. So yeah, definitely go read Kate Elliott too. But yeah, audio is very, very helpful. I love the audio is a lifesaver, but you can't beat a print copy. The duality there, but
yeah, absolutely.
I get it. I get either way. So you know, I so wish that I would have done audio back when I had a job where I would have been able to listen a lot of the time. I did a job where I like took inbound phone calls for a few years, and I was just like really efficient at it. So nobody ever called me because if they needed something, they would email me and I would respond immediately. So I just sat all day and played on my phone half the time. And yeah, I really wish that I would have had done audio at the time. I would have gotten so many books done.
Oh yeah,
so many books. But we still have our physical copy lovers though. So yes, I always recommend Channy for sure. Jonathan Mayberry. I still haven't read him, but I have Kagan the Damned, which is his fantasy one. He does. He's got fantasy, but he's got other stuff, I think, too.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever heard that narrator before. I read Black Company physically when I did that one.
I have not either.
And then educational background. Made Zach appreciate.
I can totally see that. Yeah.
I think you know, our experiences often really do color how we feel about books. So that's something too, which is something if you relate to like the premise or characters of a certain way. That's a big part of it too. I've thought about doing some sort of video like that, but I don't know exactly to do it. But that was the I recently finished the Magician's trilogy by Leif Grossman, which I can't believe I loved. I put off reading that series for so long because everybody sells the Magicians in a way that made me think I would hate it so much.
Yeah.
And that was, I did like a secret project where I read favorite books of 4 booktube friends, and that was one of them. And that was Ben from Benghis Khan. He loves the book. He very pointedly did not recommend it to me. Like, I knew he loved it and he'd recommended it to people, but he did not recommend it to me. Also, I think probably thinking I wouldn't like it, but I ended up really liking it. And it's one of those things where, like, most of the characters are not very likable, and the main character is totally an ass, and like he's depressed and like all this stuff. But it just like it's that part of like the jaded fantasy fan, like when you grow up and you never got to like go to that fantasy world or like have the stuff worked out. Just as a lifelong reader, I'm like, I could identify with that piece of it. And so I feel like some of that just made it work and made me still be able to relate to the character enough. And that series is a little bit more on like the literary fantasy side, as well, I would say. But surprisingly, that's probably my biggest surprise this year in a while. Just, I so didn't expect to like that. About to read The Night of the Mannequin. It's weird. I didn't care for it either, but it's weird. God of the Empire is definitely going to have to get the Unbroken fantasy anthology.
That sounds right. I haven't really looked into it enough, but I did hear about it. So that's probably it. If you pulled that name out of somewhere, that's probably it.
Gotcha. All right, I will. I'll have to look into that as well. There's a teenage slasher. I feel like I've heard of that one too. So we're talking about. Oh, and so I've actually never watched the show either, but now I do want to watch the show. So I'm very curious to see that now. So now that I never watched it because I didn't have any interest in the books. So
right. Yeah.
Oh, and speak of Ben, here he shows up. So
yeah. Yeah,
I was just talking about how much I surprisingly loved The Magicians. So I was going to say it's good timing for you to pop in here, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure my next read once I finish Howling Dark is going to be Empire of Salt. So
yes, I know you said you were doing Darien. So yeah, that is what it's. I think was typing at the same time. Yeah.
yes, I am.
That has been his Crusade series, and the first book, I will say too, the first book I liked it, but it was also like a 3 stars. Like I was really engaged, but I had a lot of problems. And then the second book, I'm like, oh, I see what we're doing, and we're just having fun. Like I describe it as it's the author playing with all the fun stuff that he wanted to do but couldn't when he was doing historical fiction, and he's just like throwing all of these crazy elements into this series, and it's just once you're hooked, it's just so good, and they're really short and very quick to get through as well.
I'm very excited for it, partly because that like it's going to be nice to read a trilogy that is the same length as like a single fantasy book. Like that's just going to be like a cool, like, not that that's like something I don't go out of my way to read short stuff or long stuff. I really just kind of pick up, whatever I'm in the mood for. But there is something about like just being able to like really get through something that's fun. It's actually something I really enjoyed about While Darkness Gathers. It's like a 298-page fantasy book that tells a good, tight story all the way through. Doesn't really waste any time. You still get like the good emotional impacts and everything. Like it's going to be nice to have something similar. So
yeah. I find myself, I do sometimes start gravitating towards short things if I've just been doing a lot of longer things. And that was, he first recommended it to me. I just was like, I'd been reading a bunch of like heavy and longer stuff, and then I'd had some stuff that I just didn't like as much. And I'm like, I needed kind of a change of pace, and that worked really well for that.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of thing. But it is just, I feel like it is really nice to do some short stuff sometimes. So that's what I started. I go to the library a lot with my daughter just as like a reason to get out of the house and go somewhere I don't have to spend money.
Yeah.
And so I try to, when I'm at the library, I'll look for like shorter things because I have too many things to read anyway. So I don't want to get like a big chunky book from the library. But
Right.
so I've ended up doing some shorter things just from there. Because I still, even though it's a library, I still am like, ooh, books. And like I almost always end up with something because I have a problem.
I feel you. I'm so glad that one of the nice things about switching to audio is I don't have to worry about where I'm going to store all of my books because I really don't. And it does actually kind of make me a little sad because I do like having physical books, especially for books that I end up really, really liking. But like, if anybody pays a lot of attention to my shelf that I have, there is some newer stuff on here, but like that's like my Twilight set from when I was like a child. And like these are the like Angels and Demons Da Vinci Code books that I also had when, so like I have a lot of my physical stuff is just stuff I had from when I was a kid. And so it's kind of funny to see that. But yeah,
I mean, good for you for actually, not being overloaded. So
it's just
being
all
involved
digital
in
now.
BookTube ruined me.
It's just all digital now though. That's the problem. It's just
Yeah.
all so that's why I started making my own book covers. So I don't know if you've seen those my
I didn't
TBRs
realize
and
that
stuff.
was why, but yes,
Yes,
okay, I have seen you do that.
yeah. So for books that I don't have physically at this point, when I started that this year, so I would have to go back quite a catalog of making covers. But uh, for books that I don't
It's
own
so fun.
physically, I make my own like fun, silly covers, and I'm not an art person, so they obviously come out looking like a 6-year-old did them. But it's
Oh,
fun to
well, it's so
have.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I've seen that on several of your videos. I just thought it was just kind of a fun thing you did. I didn't realize it was just specifically those are the ones because you did them digitally. But no,
Yeah.
that's fun, and for sure.
Yeah. Yep. So
I'm so bad with physical copies, and I've gotten better. The last couple of years, I've tried to. I'm getting worse lately, though. But I've
yeah.
tried to really like not buy a crazy amount of books. But I mean, I have not succeeded all that well, obviously. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's okay. My fiance makes up for it. She every now and again there'll be a package from like at least she's getting them from like thrift books and stuff. So it'll be like a good sale. And next thing I know, I'm bringing in a package and I'm like, how many books did they fit into this thing? And she'll open it and she's like, here's 12 new books I got.
oh man, yeah. No, I feel that though. I
Yeah.
really do.
Mm.
I used to get into trouble because I would buy way too many things on Book Outlet because it's so
Yes,
cheap.
it is. Yes.
But then you get a bunch of random books that you may not ever actually read. And so I've cycled through a lot, and I try to not like go out there as much, and I'll still go. What's been getting me lately is I've been trying to support all of my like local independent bookshops. And they're doing a thing right now for like the summer where they have a little passport and you can go to each one and get a sticker if you buy a
Yes.
book there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm supporting local independent bookshops and I get
Yes.
books out of it. So I've fallen into that trap a little bit with buying some
Yeah.
more things
We
lately.
we
But
actually have something very similar that happens here. I forget. It's like 1 month out of the year and you have the same kind of passport thing. And the one year we went to all of them in one day and it was like a 6-hour journey.
oh man,
All like I forget. It was probably 14 to 20 bookstores. I can't remember exactly. All like a giant circle around the city I'm at. So it was pretty
fun.
cool. Yeah.
It's on actual independent bookstore day. They did like a smaller one with like 8 or
Okay.
9, and you were supposed to go to all of them in a day. And we went to one because my daughter, who normally is very, very cooperative in bookstores or the library, got mad in the very first store and just
It
was
was
not
over.
having it. So we went to one. Then I slowly went to most of the rest of those, and then they announced this thing. I'm like, now I have to go back.
Do it
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
not the worst thing in the world though either.
No,
But
not at all. Yeah, not at all. I don't need an excuse to go. Do you get
yeah.
into like the really, really nice editions, like the Folio Society, that kind of stuff? Do you get into any of those?
So I'm kind of a mix. I would probably have more if I wasn't super cheap, and I struggle to pay the prices of some of them. I
Yes.
do have like most of my like fancier books are over here, which
Mhm.
those are like there are still the only Sanderson books that I still have. Some of them are just like the Barnes and Noble editions, or
Mhm.
like a Grim Oak book up there, some things like that. But
Yeah.
I don't actually think I have anything from Folio Society other than this is actually from the Folio Society from like the 80s that I found
Oh,
in a
okay.
thrift stop, which is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight.
Okay, that's cool.
But like I went looking for a special edition of the Magicians, and they were all like $200 to $400, and I'm just like, no.
That's too much. It's gonna be bad enough when I commit to buying every single one of these Dragonsteel Wheel of Time editions they're going to
I
do.
know. It's like I feel like he did it on purpose as a personal attack against me. No, not really, but
I
and so
know.
I joked where like I'm unlikely to read additional Sanderson books in the future, but he's going to be getting my money for however long he's doing the Dragonsteel Wheel of Time books, because how am I going to not get those?
Yeah,
'Cause,
exactly.
I mean, I will give him that the Dragonsteel leatherbounds are some of the highest quality and just the best special editions you can get, and they're actually at a reasonable price.
Yes.
Um, which I know because they're big and they can kind of get away with that to an extent. But it's just so I'm going to absolutely get those. They're just off screen. My Wheel of Time hardcovers are up there.
Mhm.
Above there as well. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be getting those. And then whenever we get Wars of Light and Shadow, that's another. So like
Right.
I'm fine to save all of my special edition stuff for those, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's I think he announced that the first one comes out this December. The original thing I heard was one every year around Christmas is what I heard. I hope
Oh,
that
okay.
I hope it's much faster than that, because like 15 years if we're gonna do New Spring is such a long time to wait.
Yeah.
Like yeah, and I mean I understand it's a long series and you probably don't want to do like one a quarter or whatever, but I would much rather get them a little bit faster. But when I originally
Yeah.
saw that, I told my fiance, I was like, "That's my birthday present for the next 15 years.
Yep.
Congratulations!"
100%. And that most of the nicer ones I have that I wasn't willing to pay for myself are my wife got them for gifts for like birthday or Christmas or
Yep.
whatnot. And that was because she knows that I can't, like, I'll spend money on her. I don't like spending that much money on myself with books. And so that's where I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I can't. So it's definitely one of those things here. Oh, let me catch up really quick.
Yeah.
The Bright Sword. Yeah, I do want to try that one. Since I've done Magicians now, getting through the series quickly. Yeah, I was gonna say Ben does a ton of audio, but I know also gets the physical
Yeah,
ones.
he does. Yeah.
Heidi asks if you've read any Christopher Buehlman.
I have not. I have
It's
not read any.
He's another one of those authors who's got like a really wide variety of stuff. And my favorite book is not most people's favorite, but mine, Between Two Fires, is my favorite Buehlman book.
Okay.
But he also, The Black Tongue Thief, that's him, if you've heard of that one.
Oh,
It was
yes, I
kind
have
of
heard it. Yeah,
big.
yeah. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different books, but he has like an urban vampire one. He's got
Okay.
the Between Two Fires is like historical horror
Is that the
fantasy.
one that has like two skeletons on the cover in like a suit of armor, or am I thinking of something different? I don't know if you know
I
off the top
don't
of your head, but
think so.
okay.
But I have a special edition of that one with a different cover, and I know what the paperback cover looks like, but there
Okay.
could be a cover of
Okay.
that. I'm not entirely sure. But there's a few out there, but uh it's my wife is she doesn't read a ton, so I don't have to worry about books, but there's plenty of other things on there as well. So I've made a couple of people look at book outlets, so I am sorry.
Oh, yeah.
It
You
is
didn't
a very dangerous website
It is.
for sure.
Absolutely.
It's not the so I'm so sorry. My Grim Oak is this nice edition of Red Queen's War, which, funnily enough, this is the whole trilogy. They're currently, I think, redoing them individually for more money than this costs.
I think Grim Oak might have I think it's Grim Oak maybe that has my favorite Tad Williams cover for Dragonbone Chair. I think that's them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is also one of my favorite series of all time, but I
Okay.
could not bring myself to pay those prices. So I
Okay.
have the original hardcovers, and I'm happy with that because I do
Oh,
love the original art too.
those original ones are I quite enjoy those ones. I haven't actually read that series yet. That is another one that's very high on my list to get to.
I can nearly guarantee that you will love it.
Yeah.
Just with your taste, I would be really shocked if you did not.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's actually part of why I haven't read them yet. I do this thing. I do it all the time where I'm like, "Ooh, I'm really gonna like that one," so I can't read it until I'm very much ready for it. So I almost like keep holding out and holding out. I did the same thing with Sanderson for the longest time.
Fair enough. I'd say I have had. I mean, I kind of did that with Guy Gabriel Kay, where everything
Okay.
I heard about him made me think that I was going to love him and he was going to be a favorite author, but I put off getting to him for forever.
Yeah.
And I've it's definitely one of my favorite authors. And have you read any Guy Gabriel Kay?
I have not. No, that's one of my big blind spots for sure.
It's I his stuff's a little bit different. Just based on some of your other stuff, I think you would probably like him. But he also has so many different books, and most of them are standalones or
Yeah.
like loosely connected, which is really nice. But yeah, I'm been slowly working my way through, and it's just been phenomenal. That I love so much of his stuff. So he's another one of those authors that just I enjoy pretty much everything I pick up from him. I never saw the Green Knight movie.
I didn't either. I wanted to, but never did.
I think I've seen that one, but I didn't get that one.
Oh, I have it on my room is currently a disaster. Everything's just like on the floor right now. It is a very cool edition.
Oh, that does look pretty cool.
And I'm not normally like a sprayed edges person, but like with everything just being black, it looks really cool. So I'll get to this one at some point. Sounds
Oh,
like you're
so
maybe out on Sanderson, but
yeah, it's okay though. There's like I said, he's still gonna get my money.
oh,
So,
exactly.
but,
Yeah,
so apparently there is a one armored skeleton on a red background.
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
So
Okay.
that makes sense. So if you've read the Silmarillion, you've read GGK. It's just not clear how much since no one will explain his role.
I have not. I have not read the Silmarillion. That is not one I've followed.
I will admit I have not either, because I couldn't get through the appendixes in Return of the King ages ago, and so I never went back to the Silmarillion. Like I'm sure there's good stuff in there, but I'm just like it's like encyclopedic to an extent, and I just have not been able to get myself there.
I mean, my hot take is that like I mean I like Lord of the Rings, but I'm not like a Lord of the Rings person, you know.
I get that.
So the Silmarillion's never really called to me.
Yeah. I appreciate the series and I did enjoy the books. I started doing I tried out the Andy Serkis audio and was doing kind of slowly, but I'm also like I appreciate the Lord of the Rings. It's obviously important. I think it's one of those things that like if you're a big fantasy fan, yeah, give it a try, read it at least once. But I've never been the like it is the only fantasy. Yeah, I've never been one of those either myself.
Yeah, and then I didn't even read it until I probably didn't read it until 2020. So like it wasn't like one of those formative reads for me.
Oh, that's funny.
See, that's a scary thought.
Yeah, I read it when I was younger, to be fair, but I'm like my taste doesn't change that much, so it's still fine with. Lions of Alrasan is my favorite. That's the first one I read, and I've been chasing that high ever since. And I've loved most of what I've read from him, but that book is I read that and I'm like, all right, this is my favorite book now, and it's so good, so good.
Okay, yeah. Sure. I will say, Howling Windbag was maybe tough on the inside, but unfortunately, I am very much enjoying my Sun Eater time. So
that's not unfortunate. That's good. That's good.
No, I know. So. Yeah, that's one of those series that I put off for a really long time because I thought I would really like it, and so far that is pointing to being true. So,
yeah. That was I I'd been told, a lot of people made me think that I was really going to like the series too. And I did not hate it by any means, but I just was kind of, after book 2, I still wasn't very invested, and so it
Yeah.
just didn't work that well for me ultimately, and I'm not planning to continue. But I get why so many people like it too, and I did like a big long review where I'm like, hey, here's the reasons that this didn't really work for me, but also like the reasons I think it works for other people, and so
Yeah.
I get it. And it's always, everybody's different, and you know it's people should enjoy what they want to enjoy, and
Oh,
that's
that's
totally fine.
It's exactly what I
Um,
always say. It's like read whatever you want, whenever you
yeah,
want to. Like it'll be fine.
yeah. I'm always even if I don't like something, I'm happy that there are other people who do. And like that series, I know it's very popular, so there are tons of people who really enjoy it, and
Oh yeah,
it's just not me. And a lot of people don't like some of my favorite books, and so
it's
I think that's where
it's
I'm
fine.
so used
Exactly.
to that.
Yeah,
Yeah, where it's like, yeah, it's okay. You
yeah,
don't have to like them, but.
yeah. I'm totally with you.
Yeah, and this is why I've not read the Silmarillion. It would pretty much be there as well. So
I've never
uh,
heard it described that way, but that's honestly a very interesting description of the Silmarillion.
it kind of makes sense. That's maybe someday. I feel like I'll have to eventually someday, but it's not high on my list of
No,
things here. So
no.
so speaking of books though, and good ones. I'm surprised I remembered to actually ask this question because I've forgotten in about 50% of these so far. But I
Okay.
didn't warn you, I don't think. So you may not know what's coming. But part of the idea here is with these, I ask the guest to recommend a book. Can be any book you want that you just think people should check out and why. And
Ooh,
put
okay.
you on the spot since I didn't
Okay.
actually give you any fair warning.
No, that's
Um,
totally fine because I have plenty of answers for this actually. So, one that I'm going to be picking up this month. It's actually the last book in a trilogy, so I'll kind of talk about the trilogy as a whole. It would fit into the mold of they're all novellas, so they're all like
nice.
very very short. The
Bonus points for that, I
Yes,
think.
exactly. The first one is called The Mountain Crown, and it's the books of Isha is what the series is called. It's super super underrated. I don't know if it's still true. I should look real quick. But at the time, and for a couple months afterwards, I was the only person on Audible to have given it a rating.
Oh
So
my
like
gosh.
definitely a little bit of a hipster on that one. But it's
Karen Loachi?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those series where it's like whenever I read it, I'm like, why can this author tell such a complete and fulfilling story with this much emotional weight, impact, care to characters in 150 pages? And so many authors feel like they need 750 to even get close to what's going on in that one. Let's see, am I still the only person? I'm still the only person on Goodreads, I think, or not on Goodreads, on Audible to leave it a rating.
So, funnily enough, I must have seen you talk about this because this is already on my want to read list on Goodreads. So
Awesome. Okay.
you've already apparently convinced me, and I forgot about it because
That's
I went to
awesome.
add it and it was already there.
Yeah, and I think the third and final book came out at the very end of July, like the 29th or something. So it's a new release that I definitely want to get to
Mm.
here. Um, and it's like 2 hours something long audiobook. So I'll be able to fly through it super fast. So that's definitely one that I recommend to fantasy fans, even if it ends up not being like your express like flavor of fantasy. I think it does a lot of really cool world building in like these short like books that like I don't know, it's like just fun enough to examine. So that's definitely one that I try to push onto people because it's so underrated. Another one that I try to push onto people is let's see, Pet Cemetery, but only because I think it's another one of those books that is like kind of sad and daunting and traumatizing, but it's also just one that I think is like a good examination of some of those really hard, uncomfortable feelings that people maybe don't always like have a lot of practice like or experience going through. And I think it can be kind of a cathartic thing to like to read that one and like I don't want to say like help you grieve or like become more empathetic or something like that, but I do think that's just one of the ones that it hits on some like really powerful emotions, which is always something that I end up like to push onto people, even though that one's kind of hard.
Yeah, I'm not much of a King fan. So I'm very familiar with a lot of his stuff because I had a friend years ago who was like a King super fan and read all of his books and told me all about all of his books all of the time. And I've not read many just because he has some tendencies that I'm not a super big fan of. But
Okay.
I will note that I'll go to my other if I ever want to do like another secret read or either secret read or reading outside my comfort zone video or something like that, I might do that one too. I have another friend who's a huge King fan,
Okay.
Jake the Bookish Drummer,
Okay.
and we tend to have super opposite taste, but he's I think he's read just about everything King's written and is like a super fan too.
Yeah,
so.
that's quite a bit of stuff. Those are like the first two that come to my mind of things that I definitely try to put. I mean, Wheel of Time, I always like jokingly try to push onto people because I'm like, hey, it's the greatest fantasy series ever written. You should probably read it. But it's obviously such a commitment that that's not one that I like seriously try to push onto people. But
yeah, I always between like that and like Words of Light and Shadow and Crown of Stars, every time I mention, I'm like, you should all be reading this, and like, you know, do the kind of the Alan thing where it's like, you should all be reading this book or series and whatnot. But yeah, that one is, I feel like most people who are going to be open to reading that are already very well aware of it.
Exactly.
Probably not a ton of people that are like, what's this, you know, series, The Wheel of Time? I'd like to read a 15-book series.
Yeah, exactly. I it's funny you say that. I actually have a buddy who he is just starting to get into reading. Like he didn't know who Brandon Sanderson was. Like that is the level of like new to reading. And he's almost done with Hero of Ages. And I'm just waiting for him to maybe like get a couple more books in before I'm like, you should check out this book called The Eye of the World and just let him go and see what happens.
It's he's doing great work there. Doing great work there for sure.
Got to indoctrinate them while you can.
Yeah, it's a good one too. You know, to get into it. It's I randomly when I was in a used bookstore, just randomly started chatting with this several years ago with this guy, and he was in there looking for a Sanderson book and was kind of a new fantasy reader as well. And then he ended up like adding me to this group chat with a couple of his friends who'd been trying to get him to read fantasy forever. And then we all bullied him into reading The Wheel of Time. I don't think he ever actually finished it. So we bullied him harder about it. And then we did end up telling him it was okay that he didn't, but we did bully him a lot, I will admit to. All in good fun. But
yeah, you gotta try to crack the whip, you know.
Yeah, at least a little bit. So, you know.
Yeah. Oh, and then just for fantasy people, another one that I would recommend is the Aurelian Cycle. It's a trilogy. It's technically YA, but like but it's so good. And I feel like it's one of those ones where maybe because of the marketing behind it or whatever, like people don't reach for it. But like especially Fireborn has like everything you want in a fantasy, like it's all there. So
I need to read the last book. Yeah.
Okay.
But
it's good.
I still, that's another one. I was surprised by how much I really did enjoy. And it's like it definitely to me, I remember you talking about this actually a little bit because it did feel like I felt the YA elements, and I feel like they could have easily been taken out and I would have enjoyed it more.
Yep.
But it is, the first two books were both really, really good. And it's just like, I think it's written for that kind of the YA market, but it's not doing it in a way that makes it like annoying or not work for adults either. And I definitely do recommend that series to people too, because it's a good one, and it'll appeal to people who don't want the gigantic epic fantasy. They maybe want something a little bit more manageable as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, no, some good mix. I like that you had just 3 in the chamber. Most people were like a little bit stumped, but you did your homework. You were prepared. So.
I was prepared. Yeah. Yeah. Now that's a good question because you probably get a bunch of good answers for that one, because I'm sure everyone's got a couple of those series where they're like, I really do wish people would read these ones.
Yeah. Well, and it's, everybody's got some different answers too. And so some of it's like, if you happen to pick a series that I also like, then I can be like, yeah, absolutely. But then like the first one, I'm always on the lookout. I shouldn't be because I have enough to read, but I'm always on the lookout for like what's the other thing I should check out. And
Yeah.
I mean that's so much of the fun of of BookTube and talking to people about books and everything, because you're always finding more. And so I'm always happy to add more stuff to my list too, and
Oh,
everybody's
me
got
too.
different stuff.
Yeah, I can just scroll and scroll and scroll of the list of books on a wish list that I'm like, what am I in the mood for? So
Yeah. Man, I probably should actually. I update my Goodreads, but I should actually like go through and look at those, because those are mostly like I put them there so I don't forget about them, but I don't actually check my want to read list probably nearly often enough
yeah,
to actually find stuff.
honestly the same thing happens to me where I've got it all, but I don't like look at it enough.
Yeah. So like I'll sometimes, if like, oh, a name sounds familiar, and I'll look, I'm like, oh, this is on my list. Maybe I should pick this up. And
Yeah. There have been multiple times where I'm like, somebody will be talking about a book and I'm like, oh, I've never heard of this one. It sounds great. And I start to type it into that list and it's like already in your wish list. And it's
Well,
like,
that was the first one you mentioned for me. I'm like, oh, this sounds. Oh no, it is in my list already. So I had no memory of that, but a lot of times I'll just do that when I'm watching, and I don't watch nearly as much BookTube as I'd like to anymore, just because again, kind of a
yep,
time thing. Like I can sit and watch BookTube, or I can get some reading in, and
exactly.
but often I'll like watch and like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. Let me add this to the list, and so yeah, I add a lot of stuff from videos like that, and it's if I need like, I'm like, what's something different or interesting, or going from
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah. No,
yeah.
definitely.
So chatting with somebody who said, "Don't waste your time with Wheel of Time and read Dennis McKiernan." I don't think I know who that second person is.
I don't know who that person is, but
I can picture the scene in my head, like, "What's this fantasy stuff? Don't waste your time with that. Read these books instead." I can.
I
can
did
see.
binge the last couple of the Wheel of Time books. I think towards the end I did like 3 books in a month or something, which is crazy. I think I did like books 11, 12, and 13 all in like the span of 6 weeks, maybe. So,
Wow.
yeah.
It's especially, yeah, once it really, because Knife of Dreams is where it like kicks back into gear and just like goes.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So much good stuff for sure. So I try to, I don't make updates while I'm reading much, but I try to, that's where I mark like what I'm reading, because I often will forget if I don't. I try to write things down too in case I like DNF something, but
Yeah.
which you I think don't DNF either,
I do
right?
not, I'll DNF a series, but I don't DNF books. For whatever reason, it's dumb. I should just like be done with a book if I'm done with it, but I always see it out till the end.
Yeah, I get that. I was like that for a long time, and I really struggled to get myself to DNF books, because there's always that part of me like, what if it gets really good, or what if I'm just not getting the full thing, or just my thoughts change, or just if I'm going to like review something too, like actually finishing it and being able to talk about it. But that's where I review copies were one of the things where I'm like, I especially, even when I started sometimes DNFing, I'm like, I don't want to ever want to DNF a review copy. But then I'm like, I have too many review copies, and I was trying to read some that I'm like, I don't like this. And
Yeah.
forcing myself through it is really making me get less reading done. And I've had other things like that too, where I forced myself through things and it just made my reading slow to a crawl.
Yeah.
Uh, so for me, it was the right choice to start. I still try to give things a good shot, for sure. But it's
Yeah.
I for so many years, I'm like, I never DNF'd anything, and so
Yeah, the closest I've come to DNFing anything recently has probably been is it House of Chains?
mm,
Yeah, that's the fourth Malazan book, right? House of Chains was probably House of Chains and then Dead House Gates before that. Those are the 2 most recent books where I was like, if I DNF'd books, I probably probably would have. So
That was every Malazan book for me, every single one of them.
yeah,
Granted, I still Dead House Gates, man. That's where I need to reread the series because I did read them like 10 years ago, and I feel like
okay,
I'd enjoy them more now. But that was I've talked about a bunch of times before. Like every single one of those books, I was just like hating my time reading it for the first half, and then usually I would be hooked by the second half, and I'd really enjoy it. And then rinse repeat. I'd start the next book over and like, oh, now we're on a different continent
yeah,
and none of the same characters are here and we're doing other stuff. And I'm like, why are you doing this to me right now, Steven Erickson? And
yeah,
I'd be mad. And it took me when I read those, I never fully stopped reading, but I wasn't reading as often then. But it took me like a year to finish the series while reading nothing else.
okay.
And considering I read a ton more books now, it's still crazy to me. But it's just like, man, yeah, those I didn't have a fun time with, but I want to retry them. I've been saying that for years,
I've
but
had an interesting experience with them because I really liked Gardens of the Moon. Actually, like I went into Gardens of the Moon not really sure what to expect, not how sure I would like it, and then I actually really enjoyed it. Was it kind of confusing? Yeah. Did I understand everything? Did I catch everything that was going on? No, absolutely not. But by the end of that book, I was like, this was a really good time. Like okay, I maybe can see how this turns into so many people's favorite series of all time. And then was reading Dead House Gates, and I actually really like the beginning of Dead House Gate and the end of Dead House Gate. But that like 80% in the middle of it was unbearable for me for the most part. So
so the Chain of Dogs plotline is probably one of my all-time favorite plot lines. It's up there for me.
mhm.
Which is I know is not everybody feels that way too, which it sounds like you did not at all, but I don't know, that one has stuck with me. Like I think about that
the
regularly
so the
still. It's
ending
been
of it,
10
I'm
years.
with you. I'm with you. The ending when it's actually ending, but I think the journey of it happening just was not working for me in
I
there.
get that.
Yeah,
Malazan is a series that I appreciate a lot in retrospect, but I did
yes.
not at the time
That's
very much
funny
at
you say
all.
that because that's actually even how I feel about House of Chains. Because I finished House of Chains and I was like, it's crazy, but I don't think I liked that book. I was like, I don't think I enjoyed like reading that book. I ended up giving it 2 stars. And after I was done with it, I went and I watched like a bunch of like a couple of discussions about it, some other people's reviews about it. And what I found was that like I really enjoyed the discussions and talking about the book, but my like personal reading experience just wasn't there for me. But after I was done with it and could talk about it in totality, it was great. I was like, this was awesome. So I always say it's my Stockholm Syndrome book or series where I'm
I
like,
get that.
I keep going back, even though I'm not sure if I should. So we'll see. I haven't committed to DNFing it. I still want to, like, I'm almost at the point where it's like, if I read 1 or 2 more books, I might as well just finish it. And so it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
kind of jump off, or we're just gonna go through it at this point. So
Yeah. I'm glad I read this series back when I didn't DNF because I'm really glad that I finished the series.
mhm.
But yeah, if I would have if I picked that up for the first time now and had the same experience, I would
Yeah,
never get through it.
yeah.
Um, but
See, and that's how I think I'm going to feel. I feel like when I'm done with it, I'm going to be immensely glad and happy that I finished it, but I don't know if I'm going to be happy and glad while I'm doing it.
yeah,
So
it sounds like we're really similar
yeah,
experience.
no,
So
absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Um, so let's see. Let's see. I started ignoring the chat again. Dennis McKinley, fantasy author from the 80s. The Dark Tide trilogy sounds vaguely familiar. So now you're
Interesting.
just adding something else to my
Yeah.
list of. I like reading a lot of older series and everything. So like 93 now. Gotcha.
I've been trying to read a little bit older sci-fi stuff. So
I'm not nearly as well read in sci-fi. I've done a few here and there, but I like checking out older stuff.
yeah.
I think I tried that book at one point and was not a big fan of it, but I never did actually
Yeah.
like. pick it up to fully read.
That's one of those ones where anytime I heard somebody talk about it, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like that one. And so
Yeah,
I'm just have like been like, I don't know if that's one I'll ever try.
it's one of like the random, like I think I had from Book Outlet or from a used bookstore. I had a copy for years, and I
It's a
just never
beautiful
seemed to get
cover.
to it. Yeah, it is.
That one's got a beauty, like it looks awesome, but
Oh, Ben asks, what are our top 3 Wheel of Time books?
ooh, okay, I can tell you because I'm a psychopath and have a spreadsheet ranking all my books.
As I say, I know I've heard you talk about doing that.
Yeah. So and on a reread, I would expect this to change, but my top 3 are The Gathering Storm, which I wouldn't expect that one to change. I'd expect that one to stay my favorite. So The Gathering Storm, The Lord of Chaos, and then The Dragon Reborn.
I don't feel like Dragon Reborn gets a lot of love, so that is interesting.
I think it gets love, but it just gets pushed down because people end up liking other stuff so much more. Like, and maybe I'm a little biased right now because I'm doing that like I'm Sherpaing them through that reread, and they both like really, really liked it. So maybe I'm, having my thought colored a little bit by that.
Yeah, I think my favorite is Knife of Dreams.
Okay.
Which that's where we get like really back into heavy Matt plot lines, which is absolutely why I love that book so much. And then it's harder to pick from there. Shadow Rising is probably in there.
Okay.
It's another big one. And then I don't know, maybe either like Lord of Chaos or Fires of Heaven or something in there as well. Ben goes Lord of Chaos, Memory Light, Shadow Rising. Understandable for sure.
Yep, totally.
Gathering Storm, Shadow Rising, Great Hunt is not too far off here too. So, and yeah, that is totally fair too. If you would have asked me this question before my last reread a couple of years ago, I might not have been able to answer it very well because I'd read it too many times. But then I tried to think about that.
It really does become a big blob. It's funny in that discussion I was having about it, when I was going over all of the stuff that happens in book 4, I was like, oh, I was combining this with stuff that happens in like book 7, like all like, so I totally, it of all the big series that I have read, like the Wheel of Time really does feel like it's one giant book more than a lot of the other ones.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, 100%. And that's where I read it so much when I was younger that a lot of it just kind of went in together here too.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to skip around a little bit just because we're probably going to be wrapping up here soon. So we did talk about this earlier, actually, and it sounds like if Tom were to reread, that would probably be on the list.
It would be on the list.
I will absolutely reread it again, possibly starting in 2026, as Heidi reminded us earlier.
Yeah. It's one of those ones that I will say, like, never say never. Like, if I did start to incorporate some rereads, it would be really surprising to not have that one on the list for sure.
Fair enough. Not a lot of Talon-Riyadh lovers, I feel like. That's interesting. See, Ben agrees. The Dragon Reborn is an interesting pick, I feel like. But Shadow Rising.
Maybe it's because that's the book that I felt like I was like 100% all the way in on the series. Because I have a pretty, so my Wheel of Time hot take is that I think The Great Hunt is like down at the bottom of my rankings.
Really?
Yes. Now I have a theory that is because I read a lot of that book on a plane to and from Las Vegas and while I was in Las Vegas. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Ben asks second least favorite, assuming that it's Crossroads of Twilight at number 1, as
Let's
it is
see.
for pretty
My
much
second to least favorite is The Great Hunt. Is how I have it in my rankings. It's Crossroads of Twilight is the bottom, then The Great Hunt.
Fair enough. I'm trying to think. Crown of Swords might be there. I remember being very underwhelmed with that one on my last reread. Granted, I do legitimately enjoy all of the books.
I do too. Yeah.
Even
So like
Crossroads. I
even
mean,
cross, I'm one of those people who's like, this propaganda about the slog is so extremely overblown that like
yeah,
we got to bring the narrative back. We got to like calm down, everybody. It's not
yeah,
6 books long. You shouldn't read a summary for 6 books and skip a bunch of like. You'll be fine. It slows
yeah.
down some. Maybe it's not going to be your favorite plot lines. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I think that's another one of those things that the biggest fans being the biggest complainers, was so many people will complain about it, but in like with love and like
Yes.
all in like we still love it, but complain, and it's just become that thing everybody knows now, and so people are
Yes.
scared of it. And like, yeah, there is the slower periods.
Yeah.
I don't remember what I even called it now, but I did something where I'm like, here's our alternate descriptions, and those are like the expanding books or something like that, because
Oh, I
we're
like that.
slowing down and we're exploring more of the world.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of really good stuff there.
There is. Yeah.
um it just it takes some time. um
Yeah.
Zach, I did do a tier list ranking at some point, but probably the last one, Song of the Mysteries, Peril's Gate, and Ships of Marrier, the combo version, is the one I have.
Okay. Okay.
That's the book where I fell in love. The ships in Warhost.
I was gonna say
Just,
Warhost. Actually, I ended up liking. I think I ended up liking Fugitive Prince more than Vastmark, but I did read them separately. So I didn't.
heresy.
I know. Yeah, you know.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I again, I enjoyed all of them, but Fugitive
exactly.
Prince, I think I was riding such a high from the combo of ships and Warhost that
Yeah.
Fugitive Prince was one of my lower ones.
Okay.
Although I think it's another one too where on reread I might enjoy more too. But
Okay. Yeah.
um, I enjoyed all of the books. So
Exactly. Yep. That's.
but
It's like we said earlier. It's like it's all relative when you talk about some of this stuff because the worst of the Wars of Light and Shadow is a top tier book still.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, and it's like it's fun to joke, like, and that's where
Oh,
like I even went on I mentioned Jake earlier. We did
mhm.
a really super random stream that I'm sure confused the heck out of the algorithm,
Uh-huh.
and we ranked Billy Joel albums, his whole discography, on my channel,
Okay.
because we're both big fans, and
Okay.
he's one of my favorite artists. And I went on halfway through on an album I ranked fairly high. I went on a big rant about the album and something about it and whatnot. And I'm like, and that said, I really enjoy this, and that's why I ranked it so high.
Yeah.
Just, you know,
Exactly.
it's that's the way it works sometimes.
Right.
But it was a fun mini rant. But
That is funny.
oh goodness. But well, I know we're getting kind of late, so and especially with you in Eastern time, and we're getting close to my bedtime here, even in Central. So I figure we should probably wrap up. Do we have? I'll ask chat if you have any final questions. Get them in now here. But any specific thing that you'd like to say or get out there, Tom?
I'm gonna agree with Chris Fox that the slog doesn't exist. I just want to. It does not exist.
It does not
It does
exist.
not exist. But no, I do just want to say thank you for inviting me. It was a lot of fun. I was looking forward to it. So it's been a great time. So
Yeah, thanks so much for coming. So it's yeah, you're one of the people that I had in mind when I started this, and so that's I just appreciate it. It was really nice just getting to talk to you a bit more and get to know you. And so
yeah,
yeah, we'll definitely have to chat more in the future. But
yeah, absolutely.
all right. Well, thanks all for watching us. This has been a fun chat for sure, and we'll see you next time.